Elias Rowan had long stopped believing that life ever paused for people like him. The morning he lost his wife 3 years ago, it felt as if time simply stepped over him and kept walking without looking back. Since then, every day had been a sprint, rushing between part-time jobs, juggling his daughter's school schedule, and applying for better work he never seemed quite qualified for. But nothing about that sunlit afternoon, when he walked into the towering glass building of Marcellon Industries, could have prepared him for the moment. A powerful woman in a crisp white suit would stare at him like she already knew who he was. Nor could he have imagined her stepping forward, extending her hand, and saying softly, as if giving him one last chance, "Dance with me before you regret it. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that prove life can turn around in unexpected ways, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness before the story continues. Your support keeps these inspiring stories alive." Elias had shown up at the corporate charity gala only because his boss insisted he attend as part of the event staff. He wore the only suit he owned, slightly tight around the shoulders and a little worn around the seams, but he stood tall. His daughter, Marin, always said he looked like a movie hero when he shaved and combed his hair back. That morning, she handed him a small folded paper heart for luck, and he kept it tucked in his jacket pocket. The afternoon sun poured through the hall-length windows of the ballroom, making everything shimmer. It was a daytime gala, bright, polished, intimidating. The wealthy laughed softly behind champagne glasses, their voices floating like silky ribbons. Elias moved through the room carrying trays, aware of the way some guests ignored him entirely while others examined him the way one looked at furniture, useful but unseen. Then he noticed her, Aurelia Vance, the CEO of Marcellon Industries, youngest in the company's history, known for her impossible standards and even more impossible expectations. She walked with the calm confidence of someone who knew every eye was on her, even when she wasn't looking. But at that moment, she was looking directly at him. Their eyes met only for a second before he turned away, heat rising in his face. She likely thought he was staring. She probably had a dozen employees ready to scold him for it. He didn't realize she had already begun walking toward him. Elias carried another tray of glasses to a passing table, but before he could step away, a soft voice spoke beside him. "You don't belong in the background," she said. He froze. Aurelia Vance stood at his elbow. Her crisp white suit gleamed in the daylight, her dark hair pinned neatly at the back of her head, her expression oddly unreadable. Elias swallowed. I'm sorry, ma'am," he said automatically. "If I'm standing in the way—" "You're not," she interrupted. "You looked like you were trying to disappear. I don't normally comment on my staff at events, but you look tired." She paused and sad. His breath caught. It felt too naked, too exposed. He carefully straightened his posture, the professional mask slipping back into place. "I'm fine, ma'am." But Aurelia didn't believe him. Her gaze shifted slightly downward, perhaps noticing the faint wear on his sleeves or the way he held himself like someone who constantly expected life to throw something else at him. She tilted her head as though assembling pieces of a puzzle. "You're a single parent," she said quietly, "aren't you?" Elias stiffened. He hadn't mentioned Marin at work. He didn't talk about her unless necessary. His personal life stayed separate from the job. He made sure of it. "How did you have a drawing sticking out of your pocket," she said softly. He looked down. The folded paper heart Marin had given him had slipped partially from his jacket, revealing a tiny doodle of the two of them holding hands. His chest tightened. Aurelia's expression softened just barely before she stepped back. "Well, Mr. Elias Rowan," he said. "Well, Mr. Rowan." She clasped her hands in front of her. "This is a charity gala meant to highlight the strength of families, working parents, and children's futures. Yet the most meaningful face in this building is hiding behind a serving tray." He didn't know what to say. People like her, powerful, polished, respected, didn't speak to people like him. They didn't notice tired single dads running from paycheck to paycheck. "Excuse me," he said quietly. "I should get back to—" She didn't let him finish. Instead, she extended her hand. The soft music swelling through the room shifted into a slow, graceful instrumental. "Dance with me, Elias." He blinked. What?" he whispered. Aurelia stepped closer, lowering her voice so no one else could hear. "Dance with me before you regret it." Everything inside him protested. He was working. He was invisible staff. He wasn't dressed like a guest. People were already watching. But her hand remained outstretched, steady, certain, as if she had made up her mind long before approaching him. Slowly, hesitantly, Elias placed his hand in hers. Aurelia guided him toward the center of the ballroom floor. A few guests murmured in surprise, their whispers fluttering like moths around the edges of the room. But Aurelia didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she simply didn't care. In the middle of the dance floor, under the soft wash of natural daylight, she placed her hand against his shoulder. He held her carefully, conscious of every pair of eyes watching. His heart pounded as they began to move. She was graceful, predictably, and he was not. But she didn't laugh, didn't correct him, didn't look away. "You look like someone who carries too much alone," she murmured as they turned gently. Elias swallowed. "I'm fine." "You're not." A strange ache spread through his chest. Aurelia's voice wasn't sharp or commanding. Like her reputation suggested, it was gentle, quiet, almost human. "You're working 2 jobs?" she asked. He blinked. "How?" She shrugged slightly. "I look at people. It's my job." Elias didn't answer. They continued to sway slowly. "I lost my wife 3 years ago," he said finally, voice low. "Been managing things on my own since then." Aurelia looked up at him, not with pity, but with recognition, as if she understood something deeper than his words. "My mother raised me alone," she said quietly. "I know what invisible weight looks like." The confession surprised him. The music drifted on, soft and soothing, as sunlight poured down across polished floors. They moved like 2 people standing on the edge of something unplanned, unexpected, slightly unbelievable. After a minute, Elias cleared his throat. "Why did you ask me to dance?" Aurelia's eyes met his. "Because regret," she whispered, "is most often born from moments we were too afraid to take." They were interrupted when a woman from the board approached, her heels clicking sharply. "Miss Vance," the woman said stiffly, "we need you for the presentation, and your choice of partner is being noticed." Aurelia's jaw tightened a fraction. "I'll be there in a moment," she replied calmly. The woman shot Elias a disapproving look before walking away. Elias began to pull back. "I should get back to work," he said quietly, but before he could fully step away, Aurelia reached out and gently touched his arm. "Come to my office tomorrow," she said. "No uniform. Just come." He stared at her, confused. For what? For an opportunity. Then she walked away, leaving him standing in the sunlight, heart beating like a drum he couldn't quiet. The next morning, he almost didn't go. He worried it was a misunderstanding, a moment of impulse she'd already forgotten. But Marin pushed him toward the door with a big grin. "Go! Maybe she wants to give you a better job so you're not tired anymore." He laughed, but part of him hoped she was right. When he arrived at the sleek office floor, Aurelia was already waiting. She motioned him inside and held a folder in her hands. "Elias," she said, "I'll be direct. I need someone to oversee a new community initiative focused on single parents, someone who understands struggle, resilience, and real life." She paused. "Someone like you." He stared at her, stunned. "I don't have a degree," he whispered. "I'm aware," she said, "but I don't need degrees. I need heart, and I think you have more of it than anyone I've met." He looked down at his rough hands, the calluses from odd jobs, the skin worn from stress and late nights. "Why me?" he asked softly. "Because yesterday," she said, "I saw a man trying to disappear, and I refuse to let someone with your strength go unseen." Something inside him cracked, just a little. "If you say yes," Aurelia continued, "I'll train you personally. It's a full-time role, higher pay, benefits for your daughter, stability." His breath trembled. "Are you sure?" he whispered. Her expression warmed. "You earned this," she said gently, "by surviving what should have broken you." Elias didn't realize tears were forming until she offered him a tissue with a soft smile. "I don't cry," he muttered. "You're allowed to," she replied, and for the first time in years, Elias let himself hope. 3 months later, everything in his life had changed. Not magically, not perfectly, but meaningfully.